Cancer, tender architect of home and heart. Have you ever felt it? Not a sound that shakes the walls, but a profound thrumming from the very foundation of your sacred space. A gentle pulse that echoes through the quiet hours of the night, a subtle shift in the air of a room you have filled with 1,000 memories. Perhaps it comes as a wave of warmth that isn't from a fire, but from a deep, ancient knowing that you are the anchor, the safe harbor, the beating heart of your world. Do not mistake this for a fleeting sentiment, my dear one. This is not a passing mood. It is a holy whisper, a divine current moving through the sanctuary of your life, sent to stir the waters of your soul. And here is the profound truth of its arrival. It does not come to offer you a simple comfort you can cling to. It comes to illuminate a truth you have carried in silence for a lifetime. It comes to hold up a mirror, not to your face, but to the deepest chambers of your heart, revealing the sacred strength you have forgotten you possess. The power to create true safety, not just for others, but for yourself. So let us walk together into this space. Let us trace the quiet currents that have led you here to a moment where the familiar walls of your world are beginning to shift, revealing the luminous destiny that has been waiting patiently for you to turn and see it. Breathe deep for a moment, Cancer, and let your spirit settle. The place you call home, it has never been just a collection of wood and stone, has it? It is a living vessel, a beautiful pearlescent shell that holds the echo of every moonlit night you've spent, nurturing every quiet worry held close, every silent, selfless act of love. They do not simply vanish. They are absorbed into the very essence of your space, becoming a part of its energetic tapestry. The light that streams through your window in the afternoon does not just illuminate dust motes, it illuminates the shimmering residue of your memories, your hopes, your deepest, most tender longings for belonging. You have felt it, haven't you? That sudden weight in the air in a room where a difficult goodbye once took place. That inexplicable feeling of peace in a corner where you have often sat to dream of a perfect family. Your home is a mirror, reflecting the vast, beautiful, and sometimes aching landscape of your inner world. If this gentle stirring resonates within your soul, if you have felt that sacred hum beneath the surface of your days, let us anchor this moment together. The journey we are on is not one to be walked in solitude. It is a shared pilgrimage of the heart. So, before we step deeper, I invite you to place your intention into this current with us. Take a moment to write a simple, powerful declaration in the comments below. I am ready to reroute. When you do, you are telling the universe, and more importantly, your own spirit, that you are opening the door to true self-nourishment. And if this message feels like it is speaking directly to you, I ask with my whole heart that you honor its journey. A simple like helps this light reach further. Sharing it sends a ripple of grace to another sensitive soul who may need it. And subscribing to Zodiac of Mind ensures you will never have to walk this path alone again. Your presence here helps build this sanctuary, and for that I am so deeply grateful. And you see, Cancer, I believe with every fiber of my being that nothing is an accident. The universe, in its infinite wisdom and compassion, has placed these divine mirrors in your life, not to expose your vulnerabilities, but to give you the sacred opportunity to see yourself with the same loving eyes it sees you with. For so long, you have been a master of building protective walls, not just around your own tender heart, but around everyone you love. You have learned to disguise the echoes of old hurts with a comforting meal, to turn down the volume of your own needs so that others might feel truly cared for. You have perfected the art of absorbing emotions, not out of weakness, but out of a profound, empathetic desire to maintain peace and security. But there are nights, are there not, when the silence in your home grows so loud, so heavy, that it becomes a presence in itself. You toss and turn, your heart beating a rhythm against your ribs, and in that pulsing quiet, the needs you have pushed away all day begin to speak. That is not just sleeplessness, dear one. That is your soul knocking gently from the inside. It is a loving reminder that some truths, the most vital and sacred truths of who you are, cannot be buried forever beneath the comfort of others. The universe allows this profound silence to descend, not to leave you feeling lonely, but to create a space where the noise of the world finally fades. Because truth, real soul-level truth, never reveals itself in the clamor of expectation or the rush of daily life. It emerges only in the stillness, in the sacred pause between breaths. Perhaps you have experienced it in other ways. Walking through a familiar hallway that suddenly feels different, longer, holier, echoing with ancestral whispers. Or maybe your gaze falls upon a forgotten corner of a room, a space that has collected dust, and in a flash of insight, you see that it is not dust at all. It is crystallized memory. It is the residue of promises you once made to yourself and then abandoned for the sake of another. Promises to guard your energy, to honor your emotional boundaries, to follow a dream that felt too personal or too consuming. Your home does not just hold your furniture, Cancer. It holds the invisible contracts you have signed throughout your life. Not with ink, but with your own silent compliance. A contract that said you would endure emotional chaos to keep a family together. A contract that said you would shrink your own joy so that it wouldn't overshadow another's struggle. A contract that said you would carry the emotional burdens of your family, your friends, your partners, believing that your capacity to absorb pain was your greatest offering of love. But let me ask you this, with all the tenderness in my heart, what peace is true and what peace is merely the absence of conflict? Is the quiet you have fought so hard to maintain a true sanctuary? Or has it become a beautiful gilded cage, dressed in the gentle colors of sacrifice? The divine does not wish for you to live in a prison, no matter how softly it is decorated. It wants you to see that the very walls you believed were protecting you have slowly, imperceptibly been closing in, making you a prisoner in the sacred house of your own soul. Be honest with yourself, Cancer, just for this moment. How many times have you pretended not to feel the sting of an unappreciated effort? How many times have you smiled when your heart was breaking just to keep the emotional waters calm for everyone else? How many evenings have you sat alone, tears streaming down your face, not from a single identifiable sadness, but from a deep, aching sense of fragmentation? A feeling that a vital part of you has been left behind, forgotten in the service of others. That feeling is not an illusion. It is not melodrama. It is a divine signal. It is the universe whispering to you through the language of your own body, your own emotions, saying, "The time has come, my love. The time has come to return to yourself, to gaze deeply into the mirror of your own destiny and reclaim the pieces you have given away." You may feel a tremor of fear at this invitation. Of course you do. Because when that mirror shines with perfect clarity, you know you will see not only your breathtaking empathy, your luminous capacity for care, and your otherworldly resilience. You will also see the cracks, the hairline fractures etched into your spirit by years of quiet endurance. The imperfect, fragmented pieces of yourself you have tried so hard to hide. But I want you to understand something right down to the marrow of your bones. Those cracks are not signs of weakness. They are proof. They are sacred testimony that you have lived fully, loved deeply, and given with a generosity that borders on the divine. They are the beautiful, intricate patterns that prove you have chosen time and time again to keep your heart open in a world that often encourages us to close it. So if today you feel a weariness in your soul, if the familiar comfort of your home has begun to feel strange and unsettling, know that this is not a sign of loss. It is the most powerful sign of all, that you are standing on the precipice of a profound transformation. You are about to cross a threshold into a new way of being. A reality where you no longer have to shrink yourself to fit into the cramped, suffocating spaces of one-sided relationships. A world where you no longer have to force a painful silence just to preserve a harmony that was never real to begin with. Because true peace, the kind of deep, unshakable peace your soul has been longing for, begins only when you gather the courage to face the mirror. When you dare to name the fears that have held you captive. When you dare to open your arms and embrace the parts of your spirit you once believed were unlovable. And then as you stand there in that moment of radical self-acceptance, something miraculous happens. Those invisible contracts, those heavy silent vows you made to yourself begin to dissolve like salt in water. The walls you built around your heart do not crumble violently. They simply become translucent, allowing the light to pour in. And you begin to hear a new whisper. It is no longer the tired, sorrowful echo of the past. It is the clear, resonant call of your future. A sacred presence is drawing near, Cancer. It may not arrive with trumpets and fanfare. It may appear as a person who sees you with a clarity that takes your breath away, someone who nourishes your soul in return. It may come as a dream that feels more real than your waking life, a vivid memory of your ancestral strength. It may be a single perfect phrase you overhear from a stranger, a line in a song that pierces your heart with its truth. But you will know it. The instant it arrives, you will recognize it because your soul will begin to vibrate like a perfectly tuned string, humming with a frequency of pure, unadulterated truth. Are you ready for this gentle heart? Because this presence will not come to soothe your old wounds or to shield you from the necessary work of your own becoming. It comes to illuminate. It comes to remind you of the immense oceanic strength you have forgotten you carry within you, the power of your true, boundless, nurturing spirit. It comes to gently, lovingly strip away the masks you once thought were necessary for your survival. It comes to knock not on the wooden door of your house, but on the sacred hidden door of your heart, the one you locked away so long ago, believing it was the only way to keep it safe. Please remember this, Cancer. The universe does not send you a savior because it knows with absolute certainty that you do not need one. It sends you a living mirror, a divine echo of your own potential, so that when you gaze upon it, you finally recognize that you and only you have always held the key to your own liberation. And in that sacred moment of recognition, all the old patterns, the silent promises, the false peace, the invisible chains are laid bare before you. They are revealed not to shame you, but to empower you. And what happens next after they are revealed, that is where your power lies. Will you choose to keep wearing them out of habit, out of fear of the unknown, or will you find the courage, the grace, the self-love to release them one by one? Will you dare to open the door of your own heart to step out of the familiar, shadowed rooms of your past and walk into a brighter, more expansive world where you can finally be all of who you are, without apology and without restraint? The answer, my love, cannot come from me. It cannot come from any external source. It can only arise from the deepest, wisest part of you, from your soul, from the sacred trust you place in the divine intelligence that guides your every step. And in that holy instant, when you make that choice, your entire journey shifts onto a new timeline. A timeline where every person you meet becomes a message, every moment of silence becomes a lesson, and every single step you take leads you closer to your own rebirth. Have you heard that knocking, Cancer? Because sometimes the very moment you finally acknowledge it, everything changes. The old patterns emerge from the shadows one by one, waiting patiently for your choice to keep them or to finally beautifully let them go. How many times, Cancer, have you held your breath just to keep a family from fracturing on the surface? How many times have you folded your own pain inward like a secret letter, whispering to yourself, if I can just keep everything stable, a little longer, everything will be all right. Yet, in that carefully curated stability, your own soul slowly, tragically lost its voice. The invisible agreements, the sacred contracts you unknowingly signed with fear of loss, have become chains of the finest, strongest silk wrapping around your heart. They have been forcing you to shrink, to make yourself smaller, so that others may feel comfortable, so that the world outside would not have to witness the true, magnificent, and sometimes terrifying power of your emotional depths. I believe from the very bottom of my heart that the divine never intended for you to live like this. You were not placed on this earth to imprison yourself in a delicate, beautiful cage of your own endurance. You were created to be a deep well, Cancer, overflowing, nourishing, and alive, meant to refresh and sustain everything you touch. You were not meant to be held back by dams named false security or self-sacrifice. True peace is not the absence of ripples on the surface. It is the deep, unshakable knowing that even when the storm rages, you are the entire ocean, vast and powerful, and you can hold it all. You can hear the steady, rhythmic beat of your own heart, a constant anchor in the tumult. Perhaps you have been silent for far too long. Silent when your efforts went unnoticed. Silent when your heart cried out for reciprocity, for understanding, for simple, gentle care. Silent until you almost forgot that you were given a voice not to be suffocated by the needs of others, but to be raised in truth, in beauty, in love. And that silence, instead of bringing you the peace you so desperately craved, became a wall. A wall so high, built brick by brick over the years, that at times you have felt that even your own prayers could not cross it. You have felt unheard, unseen, even by the very source of all creation. Do you see it now, dear one? Each time you have shrunk back from a difficult conversation, each time you have swallowed your truth to appease another, you have inadvertently clipped a tiny piece of your own soul's wings. Each time you have told yourself you are fine when you were anything, but you have swept another layer of dust upon the brilliant divine light that resides within you. But that light, it has never disappeared. It cannot be extinguished. It has only been waiting with infinite patience for you to gather the courage to sweep the dust away, to see the chains for what they are and to unfasten them with your own loving hands. Do not fear this process. The chains were never forged from steel. They were forged from mistaken compromises, from a misunderstanding of what love truly asks of us. And you have every right, every divine permission to unbind yourself. Do not mistake true, unconditional love for blind, unending sacrifice. The love that flows from the universe, from the heart of creation itself, has never ever required you to vanish so that another person may exist more comfortably. It wants you to shine. It wants you to be so full, so radiant, so completely and unapologetically yourself that your very presence becomes an act of love, an act of expansion, so that you can lift others not with the broken, depleted fragments of yourself, but with the magnificent, awe-inspiring power of your own wholeness. Ask yourself this right now, in this quiet space. How many silent promises have you kept just to avoid seeing a flicker of sadness in someone else's eyes? How many times have you swallowed your own tears to preserve the pristine, placid surface of a quiet home, while inside a city of your own making had already collapsed into ruins? Those covenants are not blessings, my love. They are barriers. They are energetic dams that have blocked the flow of grace, abundance, and true connection from reaching you. And the time has come for you to name each one, to hold each chain up to the light, to thank it for the perceived protection it once offered, and to lovingly inform it that you are no longer its prisoner. Cancer, I need you to know this one thing and to let it sink into the deepest well of your being. You do not need anyone's permission to be yourself. You have already been chosen. You have already been gifted with a heart so tender it can feel the pain of the world and a soul so deep it can nurture life itself. These gifts were not given to you so that you could hide them away in shame or fear. They were given to you so that you could share them, so that you could bear witness to the profound, liberating truth that authenticity is the highest form of worship. That true peace is not a counterfeit silence, but the sacred moment when you can take a full, deep breath and say, with every cell in your body, "This is me, I will hide no longer." And when you dare to take that first step out from behind the wall, when you begin to remove each invisible silken link, you will see the room around you brighten. Not because the sun has changed its position in the sky, but because your eyes are no longer veiled by the fog of self-abandonment. You will begin to hear the voice of the divine with a startling new clarity. It will not be a booming command from the heavens. It will be a gentle yet firm whisper rising from within your own heart saying, "You never had to shrink to be loved. You have been worthy from the very moment I dreamed you into being." Have you found the courage to try just for once? Because when this inner wall finally crumbles, a higher presence, a sacred messenger will enter your life not like a thief in the night, but like an honored, long-awaited guest. It does not come to occupy your space, but to bless it, to remind you that the house of your soul is now finally ready for the light, and that, my dearest Cancer, is when the true transformation begins. There are moments in this human journey, Cancer, when you sense that something is approaching. You cannot see it with your eyes or hold it in your hands. It is not a person, not yet. It is not an event you can circle on your calendar. It is more like an invisible tide, a change in the emotional pressure of your soul. A feeling that washes over you and leaves a trail of goosebumps, a knowing in your heart that something sacred is knocking at your door. The ancient mystics called it a higher presence, a sign from the cosmos, a signal from the universe, a soul sent from the divine realms with a single purpose to awaken you. Perhaps it arrives in the landscape of your dreams, a dream so vivid, so potent with symbolism and emotion that you wake up trembling, the feeling of it lingering with you for days, echoing ancestral memories. Perhaps it arrives through the eyes of a stranger. You pass on the street, a glance that lasts only a second, but feels like a lifetime, making you remember a part of yourself you had long forgotten, your own need for tender care. And perhaps most profoundly, that presence is your own shadow. The beautiful, wounded, powerful part of your soul that you have refused to face for years now, stepping forward to be integrated, to be loved, to be healed. I believe the universe does not send you a savior because it honors you too much for that. It knows you need no one to complete you, for you have been whole and perfect since the day you were formed from moonbeams and stardust. It only sends a mirror. And sometimes that mirror takes the shape of a person who reflects your highest potential back to you, showing you what true reciprocal nurturing feels like. Sometimes it takes the shape of a shattering experience, a loss, a heartbreak that forces you to break open your shell and discover the unshakable strength within. And sometimes it is simply a turning point, a crossroads that forces you to pause your constant caregiving and finally listen to the currents of your own soul. This mirror does not make you stronger. It only reminds you that the strength was always there, dormant but potent within the chambers of your heart. The only question is whether you will have the courage to look into it and recognize the gentle warrior of light that you see looking back. Do not wait for an external hand to lift you from the darkness, Cancer. Do not hope for someone else to come and soothe your inner child for you. The truth is, the divine has already armed you long, long ago. Your intuition is your shield. Your empathy is your sword. The power to create comfort is your healing balm, and the resilience you have proven in every fall and every rise is your unbreakable armor. These weapons do not shine and glitter for the outside world to see. They glow with a soft, steady internal light deep within your heart. And when this sacred messenger, this higher presence, steps into your life, its purpose is not to save you, it is to awaken you. It is to prompt you with a gentle but insistent nudge to draw that luminous sword of empathy from its dusty sheath, to raise that shimmering shield of intuition and wield it as the instrument of your own protection, your own liberation. Can you hear it now? It is not the sound of footsteps in a dark hallway. It is not the creak of a door swinging open from the outside. It is the knock from within, a pulsing, rhythmic, undeniable knock deep within the temple of your own soul, urging you to answer. Are you ready? It whispers. The time has come. Many mistake this higher presence for an external sign, something to be waited for and passively received. But in truth, it is only ever a reflection of an internal shift. The universe awakens you not with noise and spectacle, but with the deepest, most subtle vibration of your own being. Remember the last time you felt a sudden welling of emotion for no apparent reason while looking at an old photograph, or the moment you burst into tears at the thought of a childhood memory without knowing precisely why. That was not random emotionality, Cancer. That was your soul cracking open. That was your heart preparing for a sacred meeting with itself. This higher presence does not come to comfort you in your old patterns. It comes to illuminate them so you can move beyond them. It may unsettle you at first, because when a bright light is switched on in a dark room, all the shadows are suddenly revealed. But trust me, my love, it is not to hurt you. It is only to set you free. Perhaps in the days and weeks ahead, you will meet someone whose presence feels unlike anyone you have ever known. They will not promise you forever. They will not offer to fill the empty spaces in your heart. Yet with just a glance, a few words, a moment of shared silent presence, they will remind you of who you were before you forgot. That you were once strong, once radiant, once gloriously, unapologetically whole. And when they depart, as messengers often do, they will leave within you not a sense of loss, but a burning, unquenchable calling to live more truly, to love more honestly, to be more courageous. Do not cling to them, for they were not sent to stay. They were sent to awaken. It is also possible that this presence will arise from your own darkness. A pain you once buried so deep you thought it was gone. A memory you tried to outrun, a secret grief. An old dream that still has the power to leave you breathless. You may want to turn away to numb yourself, to pretend you do not feel it. But Cancer, that is the test. That is the initiation. Only when you dare to turn and face the darkness, to sit with it, to listen to its story without judgment, will you see that the light the divine placed within you has never, ever gone out. Darkness is not the enemy. It is merely another mirror, a sacred, shadowy pool, reflecting the part of yourself you never dared to embrace. And once you find the courage to embrace it, to love it, the darkness loses its power over you, and you are reborn into a new, integrated strength. This higher presence may frighten you, but remember that fear is often just a thin layer of sand covering a priceless pearl. Let your hand touch the fear. Allow yourself to dig a little deeper, and you will find the treasure you have been seeking your entire life. You will realize you were never lacking, never broken, never powerless. It was only an illusion, a story created by those invisible silken chains. This is the moment, Cancer, where you must ask yourself, am I ready to look into the mirror? Am I ready to see all of myself? The light and the shadow, the strength and the sorrow, without running away. This is the divine invitation whispered to you every single time you feel that ache of emptiness. The universe never wanted you to shrink yourself to fit inside another person's heart. It wants you to expand so fully that your own heart becomes a universe with enough space to hold true, authentic, unconditional love. Love that needs no pretense. Love that requires no invisible contracts. And one day soon, when you open your window in the morning and take a deep, conscious breath of air, you will feel different. Not because the world has changed, but because your perception of it has. You will see that everything in your familiar, sacred home shines a little brighter, feels a little lighter. That is the sign. That is the confirmation that the higher presence has come, has touched you, has awakened you. So prepare yourself, Cancer. When the wall within you finally dissolves, when the living mirror is placed before you, when the sacred messenger enters like an honored guest, you will face a choice. Will you try to keep everything as it was, clinging to the familiar comfort of the cage, or will you open the door wide and welcome a new journey? Because what awaits you is not just a presence, it is a doorway. A shimmering portal leading you into an entirely new chapter of your life. And when your hand touches the handle, you will know with a certainty that settles deep in your bones that everything that has happened, all the silence, all the sorrow, all the shadows, was only to bring you perfectly and divinely to this very moment. And when that door opens, you will see an entire beautiful journey awaiting you on the other side. There are chapters in your life, Cancer, that have closed with tears, with hidden wounds that ached long after the story was over, with long, lonely nights spent questioning why love or family or trust could turn into a blade that cut so deep. But I want you to believe me when I say this. Every betrayal, every disappointment, every ounce of pain was not the end. They were only old heavy doors closing, sometimes slamming shut, so that you could finally turn and recognize the new door that is opening before you now. A door that does not lead you back into the labyrinth of heavy looping memories, but leads you forward into a pure and resonant community. To kindred souls who speak your language, who understand the tides of your heart, and to opportunities that are arriving at the most perfect, divinely orchestrated time, the precise moment when you are finally truly ready to receive them. I have always believed, and I have seen it confirmed, time and time again, that every departure from our lives, whether it is one we have chosen or one that has been forced upon us, is the gentle hand of the universe on our shoulder, whispering, "Go, my love." For ahead lies a place, a person, a reality, far more worthy of your beautiful heart. The universe does not take away just to leave you empty and aching. It only ever clears the path. It lovingly removes the people and situations that are no longer in alignment with your highest good, so you no longer have to carry the heavy, jagged fragments of stories that were never truly yours to bear. When you lose someone you thought you could not possibly live without, in truth, you are simply being brought one step closer to those who will cherish you rightly, who will honor your sensitivity, who will celebrate your light without asking you to dim it. When one door closes, remember that the divine hand never leaves your shoulder. It is always there, gently, patiently guiding you toward the light. The lesson here is so simple and yet so profound. You do not need to carry the bitterness. You do not need to clutch the resentment or replay the reel of hatred in your mind. These are only heavy stones that weigh down your spirit and make your steps sluggish on this new path. The universe does not want you entering this new chapter with your hands full of rubble from the past. It wants you to step through this new doorway with your heart open and your hands empty, ready and willing to receive the incredible new blessings that are waiting for you. All it takes is a simple affirmation, a small sacred promise made to your own soul, and you will feel the old energetic chains fall away. And in that moment, you will feel as if you have been reborn, light-free and unburdened. Are you ready, Cancer, to cross this sacred threshold? A threshold where the past no longer has the power to cling to you, and only you remain luminous and whole, guided by the unwavering light of your own spirit. Imagine just for a moment that you are standing before that door right now. A soft, pearlescent light is slipping through the crack, shining upon your face, and a gentle voice, the voice of your own highest self, is whispering, "You do not need to wait any longer. Step forward." Your heart may be beating a little faster, a mixture of gentle apprehension and a deep, thrilling excitement you have not felt in years. Because your soul knows that this time you are going exactly where you belong. Let us seal this moment. Let us make it a ritual, a sacred vow between you, your soul, and the loving universe that holds you. Write down this affirmation for yourself right here, right now. Put it in the comments below as a decree that your spirit has been waiting to hear you speak. Write, "I release old burdens. I choose self-nourishment. I choose authentic belonging." Let these words be more than just typed letters on a screen. Let them be a blessing you release into the world and a profound gift of liberation you give to yourself. And then when you have done that, feel the shift. Feel the door begin to swing open on its own. And you will see that on the other side is not a familiar road, but an entirely new landscape. A journey that vibrates at a higher frequency, where everything aligns with a divine and effortless grace. There you will meet people with whom you never need to hide, never need to shrink, never need to explain the depths of your feeling heart. They will look at you and they will simply say, "I see you. I honor you." There you will find work opportunities and relationships arriving as if they had been written for you in the great cosmic book of destiny, waiting for this exact moment to appear. Trust me, Cancer, this is only the beginning. Every ounce of pain you have endured was merely preparation. It was your soul's sacred training, making you strong enough, wise enough, and compassionate enough to cross through this door. And once you step through, you will no longer be the person you were. You will be the purified version, the one who chose light over shadow, the one who chose truth over falsehood. And that, my dearest soul, is only the beginning of a magnificent new story. Cancer, this journey we have taken together has carried you from the hidden whispers in your home, through the tangled webs of invisible covenants, all the way to this sacred moment of opening a new door. And now, as we stand here together at the gentle end of this message, I want you to take one more deep cleansing breath. And as you exhale, I want you to feel this truth in every cell of your being. You did not just survive the breaking, you grew from it. You have emerged from the waters of your past with a stronger, more compassionate heart, a brighter, more resilient soul, and an unshakable faith that the divine has always been watching over you, never for a moment leaving your side. You are worthy of love. Not because you endured pain, not because you sacrificed your needs, but simply because you are love in your very essence. You are worthy of pure, clean, reciprocal relationships, of peaceful, nurturing communities where you do not need to pretend, where your beautiful, sensitive light is not just tolerated, but welcomed and celebrated. And the most beautiful thing of all is this: you have already begun to see it. It began in the very moment you made the choice to start loving yourself. I thank you from the deepest part of my soul for staying with me until the end of this message, for opening your heart to listen, and for allowing this gentle light to touch the tender places within you. Your presence here in this shared space has made this moment sacred, and I hold a prayer for you in my heart. May the universe bless you with a profound and lasting peace, with vibrant health, and with an effortless prosperity, so that you may always walk the path that is most worthy of your magnificent soul.